"You can see again," said the 9-year-old girl to the blind painter. And then something incredible happened. Walter Jenkins was sitting in his rocking chair when he felt a tiny hand touch his arm. For 15 years, he had lived in darkness, ever since an illness had stolen his sight and turned his life into a routine devoid of colors or shapes. "You can see again," said the child's voice with such conviction that the 68-year-old man's heart quickened. Walter turned his face toward the sound, trying to picture where the child was coming from. He was in his backyard, as he was every afternoon, listening to the sounds of the neighborhood in Hopefield, Chicago. The scent of damp earth from the morning rain still lingered in the air. "Who are you, little one?" he asked, adjusting the dark glasses he always wore to hide his clouded eyes. "I'm Lily. I live over there in the blue house with my grandma Dorothy. She said you used to be a painter before you couldn't see anymore." The girl spoke with the natural ease of a child, without the careful words adults used when talking about his blindness. Walter smiled for the first time in weeks. "I was a painter, yes, little one, but that was a long time ago. My grandma said you painted the prettiest houses in town, that you had huge canvases full of flowers and little birds." Walter felt a tightness in his chest. It had been years since anyone spoke of his paintings with such enthusiasm. His daughter Rebecca, a doctor who lived with him, avoided the subject so as not to upset him. "Lily, that's not how things work," he explained patiently. "When someone goes blind from an illness, they don't just start seeing again out of nowhere. But I brought something special." Walter heard the sound of paper unfolding, then caught the scent of herbs. The girl gently took his hand and placed something damp in his palm. "It's a cloth soaked in water from the spring in Grandma's backyard. She said this water has special powers because it comes from deep underground, where the oldest plant roots grow." Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now back to the story. The old painter chuckled softly, but something in the child's determination touched him. It wasn't the water that was special. It was the pure faith of that little girl. Reluctantly, he pressed the damp cloth to his eyes. "Rub it gently, Mr. Walter, really slowly." He obeyed, feeling the cool water trickle down his face. For a moment, he thought he sensed a strange tingling, but it quickly faded. When he opened his eyes, the darkness remained, as unyielding as ever. "It didn't work," he said, trying to keep the disappointment from his voice. "Not yet, but it will. I know it will. Can I come back tomorrow?" Walter was silent for a moment. The last thing he wanted was to give false hope to a child, but he also couldn't bring himself to be harsh with someone so small and full of kindness. "You can come, but don't bring that water again. I don't want you getting hurt fetching dangerous things." "It's not dangerous, Mr. Walter. Grandma Dorothy has used this water to heal lots of people. She was a nurse at the hospital before she retired." The name Dorothy made Walter stop rocking in his chair. Dorothy Wilson. Why hadn't he realized it sooner? Of course he knew Mrs. Dorothy. She had cared for him in the first months after he lost his sight, when he was still receiving treatment at the hospital. Mrs. Dorothy? She worked at Mercy General Hospital? She did. She took care of you when you were so sad because you couldn't see colors anymore. Walter swallowed hard. Mrs. Dorothy had been more than just a nurse to him. In the toughest moments, when he felt like giving up on everything, she always found words of comfort. She spoke of other patients who had discovered new ways to live, of the importance of not surrendering to despair. "And why did Mrs. Dorothy send you here, Lily?" "Because she said you were very lonely, that your daughter takes good care of you, but that you needed a friend to talk about painting with." The girl had touched a sensitive spot. Rebecca was a devoted daughter, working part-time so she could care for him, but Walter knew her constant presence was limiting her life. She had postponed her wedding, turned down a job offer in New York, all because of him. "Lily, do you like painting?" "I love it. Grandma Dorothy has a small painting you made for her. It's of a rose bush with red flowers. She said you painted it for free because she couldn't afford to pay." Walter vaguely remembered. He had painted a few small pieces for hospital staff as a token of gratitude. Mrs. Dorothy had always admired his work when she visited his room. Want me to tell you how I used to paint, Lily? Yes, but first let's try again with the water. The girl was persistent. Walter sighed but let her wet his eyes once more. This time he paid closer attention to the ritual. Lily murmured soft words under her breath, as if saying a prayer. Her small hands were gentle and careful. Now tell me how you made the flowers so beautiful. Walter began describing his technique, how he mixed paints to get the exact shade of red for the roses, how he used short brushstrokes to create the texture of the petals. Lily listened intently, asking thoughtful questions that revealed her genuine curiosity. Time slipped by without him noticing. When Rebecca arrived from the hospital, it was already getting dark. Dad, who's this girl? Rebecca Jenkins was 35 and had inherited her mother's tendency to worry. Since taking over her father's care, she lived in a constant state of alert, always fearing something bad might happen to him. This is Lily, sweetheart, Mrs. Dorothy's granddaughter. Remember her? Dorothy from the hospital. Rebecca narrowed her eyes. What's she doing here? I came to visit Mr. Walter, Lily replied simply. Grandma Dorothy said he needed company. Rebecca's stomach tightened. Was she failing at caring for her father? Was he feeling lonely despite all her efforts? Lily, you shouldn't be here alone. Where's your grandmother? She's taking care of Mr. George. He hurt his leg. She said I could come here while she was gone. And your parents? The girl lowered her head, and Walter sensed the shift in her posture, even though he couldn't see her. Mom's been in the hospital for a long time. Dad left before she got sick. Rebecca immediately felt guilty for being so blunt. She was a doctor. She should know how to approach children in delicate situations. I'm sorry, Lily. I didn't mean to upset you. I'm not upset. Grandma Dorothy takes good care of me, and now I have Mr. Walter to talk about painting with. Walter smiled. There was something about this child that brightened the room, even for someone who couldn't see her expression. Rebecca, can Lily stay for dinner tonight? Dad, please. It's been so long since we've had company. Rebecca looked at the girl, her slightly tousled curly hair, her simple but clean dress. There was something special in her eyes, a light that seemed older than her years. All right, but afterward I'll take you home. Over dinner, Lily shared stories she'd heard from her grandmother about the hospital, about the patients Mrs. Dorothy had helped over the years. Walter had more fun than he'd had in months. Rebecca, watching her father's excitement, began to relax. Mr. Walter, tomorrow I'll bring paint, said Lily, when Rebecca got up to fetch dessert. Paint for what, little one? For you to paint with. Grandma Dorothy said that an artist who stops making art gets sick inside. Rebecca, who had overheard from the kitchen, returned with the milk pudding in her hands and a worried look on her face. Lily, my father can't paint anymore. He can't see. But he can paint with his hands, right? Like the old artists our teacher showed us at school. Walter grew thoughtful. He had never considered that possibility. His identity as a painter had been so tied to his ability to see colors and shapes that he had never imagined other ways to create art. I don't know if that would be possible, Lily. Of course it is. I'll help. I can be your eyes. Rebecca felt a pang in her heart. The girl spoke with such conviction, it was almost painful. She didn't want her father to get his hopes up, but she also didn't want to crush the hope shining on his face for the first time in years. We'll see, little one, she finally said. We'll see. When Rebecca took Lily home, Mrs. Dorothy was waiting on the porch of the simple but well-kept blue house. She was a woman in her 60s, her graying hair tied in a low bun, wearing a floral dress and comfortable slippers. Good evening, Doctor. Rebecca, how's your father? Good evening, Mrs. Dorothy. He's doing well. Lily is a very special girl. Yes, she is. Her heart's bigger than she is. Ever since she was tiny, she's always wanted to help everyone. Rebecca hesitated for a moment before asking the question that had been bothering her. Mrs. Dorothy, did you send Lily to visit my father for a specific reason? The retired nurse smiled knowingly. Doctor, your father has always been a very generous man. When I didn't have money for my high blood pressure medicine, he paid for it without me knowing. I only found out later when I went to the pharmacy and the medicine was already paid for. He's helped many people like that, quietly. Rebecca didn't know that. Her father had never mentioned financially helping others. Lily lost her father early, and her mother has been hospitalized for months with a complicated illness. The girl has been very sad, though she tries to hide it. I thought maybe it would be good for the two of them to meet. Two people who need a little joy in their lives. Rebecca understood. It wasn't just her father being helped. Lily also needed something that perhaps only he could give. Do you think it's safe to let her spend so much time with him? Your father is a good man, Doctor, and Lily is smart. She knows how to take care of herself, but she also knows how to take care of others. I think they'll help each other. The next day, Lily arrived early, carrying a plastic bag with some old tubes of paint and worn-out brushes. Grandma Dorothy saved these paints from when she painted the house. She said you can use them. Walter took the tubes, feeling their familiar texture. It had been so long since he'd touched painting supplies that he had almost forgotten the sensation. Lily, I don't know if this will work. Let's try. First, I'll wet your eyes again with the spring water. Walter let her repeat the ritual, more out of affection for the girl than any belief in results. But there was something comforting in the routine she had created, in the dedication with which she performed each gesture. Now put your hand on the canvas, Lily instructed, picking up a small canvas she had found in the room that used to be Walter's studio. The man's finger trembled as it touched the rough surface of the canvas. How many works had he created in his lifetime? Hundreds, thousands, each with its own soul, its own colors. How will I know where I'm painting? I'll help you. I'll hold your hand and guide you. Lily opened a tube of blue paint and placed some on the makeshift palette she'd made from a plate. She gently took Walter's hand and dipped his index finger into the paint. Now, make a small circle here. Guided by the girl, Walter made the motion. Feeling the paint slide from his fingertip onto the canvas, brought back sensations he thought he'd lost forever. Now another circle, but bigger. What are we painting, Lily? A flower, like the one you made for Grandma Dorothy, only blue. Walter smiled. There was something freeing about painting without sight, just feeling. His fingers began moving with more confidence, creating shapes that existed only in his memory and imagination. Now let's do the center of the flower. You can use yellow. The girl opened another tube and guided his movements. Walter started remembering what it was like to work with colors, how each shade had its own personality and energy. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, please take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps those of us just starting out. Now, back to the story. It's turning out beautiful, Lily said excitedly. Now we just need the leaves. They worked for another hour, with Lily describing each movement and Walter translating her instructions into strokes on the canvas. When they finished, he was exhausted but happy. How does it look? It's different from the flowers you used to make, but just as pretty. There's something special about it. Rebecca came home at lunchtime and found the two in the backyard, their hands smeared with paint and smiles on their faces. What were you two up to? Painting, Lily answered eagerly. Look at the beautiful flower Mr. Walter made. Rebecca picked up the small canvas and examined it. It was a primitive painting, clearly made by someone who couldn't see what they were creating. But there was something touching about it, a simplicity that conveyed pure emotion. It's really beautiful, Dad. Really? Walter asked, eager for his daughter's approval. Really, truly beautiful. That night, after Lily had gone, Rebecca found herself staring at the little painting for a long time. It had been years since she'd seen her father so animated. Maybe that girl was bringing back something she herself hadn't been able to restore. Hope. In the days that followed, Lily kept coming religiously, always with spring water for the eye ritual, always with new painting ideas. Walter began eagerly awaiting her visits. Today we'll paint a tree, she announced one Friday morning. A tree is harder, Lily, lots of details. Exactly. You need challenges. The girl had brought a larger canvas and more colors. Walter noticed she was becoming more organized, as if she were taking painting seriously. First the trunk, really dark brown. Walter dipped the brush into the paint and began following the girl's instructions. His hands were steadier now, more confident. Now the branches, really thin like the fingers on my hand. Lily, how do you know so much about painting? Grandma Dorothy taught me. She said she used to watch you paint at the hospital, said you explained everything you were doing. Walter vaguely remembered. In the first months of treatment, when he still hoped to regain his sight, he'd brought small canvases to the hospital. He painted as therapy, and Dorothy would always stop by to talk about colors and shapes. And I also research at the school library. The teacher lends me books about famous artists. You're studying art, for me. Yes, I want to help you paint better and better. Walter's heart filled with an emotion he hadn't felt in a long time. Someone was investing time and energy to help him be happy, without expecting anything in return. Now the leaves, light green. They worked on the tree all morning. Walter began to realize he was developing a new way of seeing through his hands and imagination. It wasn't the same as the vision he'd lost, but it was something new and his own. Lily, can I ask you something? Sure. Why are you so certain I'll see again? The girl stopped guiding his hand and stayed silent for a moment. Because Grandma Dorothy told me something. What did she say? She said sometimes people go blind inside before they go blind outside. And when they start seeing inside again, sometimes their eyes get better too. Walter swallowed hard. Mrs. Dorothy had always been wise, but those words struck deep in his heart. And do you think I was blind inside? I think so. But not anymore. Now you're happy when you paint. It was true. For the first time in 15 years, Walter felt truly happy. It wasn't just the absence of sadness, but real joy, an enthusiasm he'd forgotten existed. Lily, you're a very special girl. Grandma Dorothy is the special one. She's the one who teaches me everything. When Rebecca got home, she found the new painting drying on the clothesline. The tree was more elaborate than the flower, with details that showed progress in technique. Dad, you're getting so much better. It's Lily who helps me. She has a special way of explaining things. Rebecca watched the girl who was carefully putting the brushes away in an old can. There was something about her posture that stood out, a seriousness beyond her years. Lily, can I talk to you for a minute? Sure, Doctor. Rebecca. They walked to the other side of the yard. How's your mom? The girl's face closed off immediately. She's still in the hospital. Has she been there long? Yeah. Grandma Dorothy said she has an illness that takes time to heal. Rebecca felt a pang in her chest. As a doctor, she knew prolonged hospital stays for children. Lily's age usually meant serious conditions. Do you visit her? I do. But she's usually asleep because of the medicine. And how are you handling all this? Lily shrugged, trying to seem stronger than she was. Grandma Dorothy takes good care of me, and now I have Mr. Walter to teach me about painting. Rebecca realized the girl was using these visits as a way to cope with her mother's situation. Helping Walter paint gave her a sense of purpose, a positive distraction. Lily, if you ever need anything, you can come to me, okay? Okay, Doctor. But I'm really fine. That night, Rebecca talked to her father about Lily's situation. Dad, I think that girl is suffering more than she lets on. I thought there might be something. She sometimes gets very quiet, lost in thought. Maybe it's good for her to have something to focus on, and it's been good for you too. It's been wonderful, Rebecca. It's been so long since I felt useful. You've always been useful, Dad. To me, to our family. No, honey. Ever since I went blind, I've felt like a burden to you. I know you've given up so much for me. Rebecca's eyes welled up. It was hard to hear her father talk like this. I never felt like I was sacrificing anything, Dad. I take care of you because I love you. And I love you too. But Lily showed me I can be more than just someone who needs care. I can teach. I can create. I can make a difference in someone's life. Walter was right. Rebecca realized that in her efforts to protect and care for him, she might have limited his sense of independence and productivity. What do you want to do? I want to keep painting. I want to see where this takes me. Then let's keep going. The following Saturday, Lily arrived earlier than usual, carrying an old but well-organized backpack. I brought you a surprise, she said excitedly. What surprise? New paints. Grandma Dorothy got some leftover paints from the school renovation. Lily opened the backpack and revealed several tubes of vibrant acrylic paints, along with brushes of different sizes. Now we can make bigger paintings with more colors. Walter picked up the tubes, feeling the consistency of the paint through the packaging. New paints had a different smell, stronger and more promising. What should we paint today? A landscape with mountains, sky, and some white clouds. It was their most ambitious project yet. Walter felt a twinge of anxiety, but also anticipation. Lily, a landscape is very complicated. There's perspective, depth. We'll take it slow. First the sky, that's easier. The girl had brought an even larger canvas and placed it on the easel Rebecca had bought during the week. Walter stood in front of the canvas, trying to imagine how to divide the space. First, run your hand over the whole canvas to feel its size, Lily instructed. Walter obeyed, mentally mapping the surface's dimensions. It was a strange but interesting sensation, as if he was seeing with his palms. Now let's do the sky. A very light blue, almost white. Lily mixed the paints on the palette and dipped a wide brush. She took Walter's hand and guided him in making broad, gentle strokes. Side to side, very slowly. Walter focused on the feeling of the brush gliding over the canvas. There was something meditative about the process, a calm he hadn't felt in years. Now the mountains, dark green at the bottom. They worked for hours, with Lily describing every detail and Walter translating her instructions into increasingly confident movements. The girl had developed her own vocabulary for describing shapes and motions, a language that worked perfectly between them. Now the clouds, just a little white to give them shape. How do you know where to put the clouds, Lily? I imagine where they'd look prettiest and guide you. Walter realized the girl had a natural artistic instinct. Her suggestions always improved the composition, even when he thought they wouldn't. By mid-afternoon, when they finished the landscape, Walter was exhausted but fulfilled. How does it look? It's beautiful, like we're looking at a real mountain. Rebecca came home and found the two admiring their new work. The landscape was impressive, far more elaborate and harmonious than their previous paintings. Dad, this is amazing. How did you manage so many details? Lily's becoming an artist too, Walter said proudly. She has a great eye for composition. Rebecca watched the girl, who blushed at the praise. There was something different about Lily that day, a greater confidence, as if she were also discovering something about herself in the process. Lily, have you ever thought about studying art? I have, but Grandma Dorothy says I have to finish regular school first. She's right, but you have real talent. That night after Lily had left, Rebecca studied the three paintings now decorating the living room. There was a clear progression from one to the next, not just in technique, but in emotional expression. Dad, you're really happy, aren't you? I am, sweetheart. Happier than I've been in years. And Lily seems to be benefiting too. She's more cheerful, more confident. She's a special girl, smart, dedicated, kind. Sometimes I forget she's only 9. Rebecca nodded. She'd also noticed how Lily displayed an impressive emotional maturity for her age. Dad, can I ask you something? Of course. Do you really believe you can see again? Walter remained silent for a long moment, rocking in his chair and listening to the sounds of the neighborhood at night. Rebecca, 15 years ago, I gave up believing that. Accepting blindness was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life, but it was also necessary for me to live. And now? Now I don't know. Lily has such pure, unwavering faith that sometimes I catch myself thinking, what if it's possible? As a doctor, I have to say that, I know, sweetheart, I know science has no explanation for what she believes, but I also know something is changing in me. I don't know if it's physical or emotional, but something is different. Rebecca grew worried. She didn't want her father to get his hopes up only to suffer a devastating disappointment. Dad, promise me you won't put all your hopes into this? I promise, Rebecca, but I also promise I'll keep my heart open to possibilities. It was a delicate balance, but Rebecca understood it was necessary. Her father was more alive and excited than he had been in years. Even if his sight didn't return, this experience was giving him something just as valuable. The following Monday, Lily arrived with a different expression. She seemed more serious, troubled. Good morning, Mr. Walter. Good morning, little one. Are you okay? Your voice sounds off. I'm fine. But Walter knew it wasn't true. He knew the girl well enough to notice changes in her mood. Lily, you know you can talk to me about anything, right? The girl stayed quiet for a moment, nervously fiddling with the paint tubes. Mr. Walter, what happens when someone gets really sick? Walter's heart clenched. He knew the question was about her mother. It depends on the illness, sweetheart. Some people get better, others don't. Sometimes they don't, Lily, but that doesn't mean we should lose hope. Grandma Dorothy said Mommy is getting weaker, that the doctors are doing everything they can, but... The girl's voice faltered, and Walter could hear her crying softly. Come here, little one. Lily moved closer, and Walter hugged her. It was the first time he truly felt her fragility, her need to just be a scared 9-year-old. Lily, sometimes bad things happen and we can't stop them, but that doesn't mean we can't still find joy and beauty in the world. How can you be happy painting even though you're blind? Because you taught me there's more than one way to see, and because I've learned that creating something beautiful is a way to fight sadness. Lily pulled back slightly, wiping her eyes with the back of her hand. Mr. Walter, if she doesn't get better, will you still let me come here? Of course, little one. You'll always be welcome here. You're part of our family now. Even if I can't help you see any more? Walter understood then. That was Lily's real fear. She worried her worth depended on being able to help him. Lily, you've helped me see in a way far more important than you realize. You helped me see that I can still be useful, that I can still create beautiful things, that I can still be happy. That has nothing to do with my physical eyes. So you won't send me away? Never, little one. You're my painting partner, remember? And partners stick together through good times and bad. Lily smiled for the first time that morning. Then let's paint something really pretty today, to make you happier. And to make you happier too. They spent the morning painting a garden full of colorful flowers. Lily was quieter than usual, but focused on their work. Walter realized that painting was becoming, for both of them, a form of therapy, a way to process difficult emotions. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now back to the story. When Rebecca came home, she found the new painting and immediately noticed something different in the energy of the house. How was your day? It was good, Lily replied, but Rebecca caught the sadness in her voice. Lily, do you want to talk to me about something? The girl looked at Walter as if asking for permission. He nodded. Dr. Rebecca, do you know the doctor's taking care of my mom? Rebecca felt her stomach drop. The question confirmed her suspicions about the severity of the situation. I don't know them personally, but I can try to find out some information. Why? I wanted to know if they're doing everything right, if there's anything that could be done differently. Rebecca knelt in front of the girl, placing her hands on her small shoulders. Lily, doctors always do their best. Sometimes illnesses are very complicated and sometimes there's just no way. Sometimes there isn't, sweetheart, but that doesn't mean we should stop trying or hoping. Lily nodded, trying to appear stronger than she felt. Grandma Dorothy always says we have to be strong for the people we love. Your grandmother is very wise, and you are very brave. That night, Rebecca spoke with Dorothy about Lily's mother's condition. The retired nurse confirmed the situation was serious and the chances of recovery were slim. How is Lily handling it? She's strong, doctor, but I can tell she's clinging tightly to the idea of helping her father. I think it gives her purpose, a way to feel she can help someone when she can't help her own mother. Rebecca understood. Lily's dedication to Walter was, in part, a way to cope with her own sense of helplessness in the face of her mother's illness. Do you think we should say something to her? I think we should keep letting her help her father, but we also need to be ready to support her when the time comes. Rebecca nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility. Lily was becoming part of their lives at a time when she herself needed so much support. In the weeks that followed, their routine continued. Lily arrived every morning, performed the ritual with the fountain water, and they painted together. Their works were growing more elaborate and expressive. Walter began to notice small changes in his perception. They weren't exactly visual, but rather a different sense of spatial orientation, as if his brain were developing new ways to process sensory information. "Lily, today I want to try painting alone for a few minutes." "Alone? But how?" "I want to experiment. You can stay by my side to help if I need it, but I want to try feeling where to place the colors just through memory and intuition." The girl was excited by the idea. "What color do you want to use?" "Blue. I want to paint the sky." Walter dipped the brush in blue paint and focused intensely. He closed his eyes, a reflexive gesture he still made despite his blindness, and tried to visualize the canvas in his mind. Where would the horizon be? Where would the sky be lighter or darker? He moved the brush in soft arcs, trying to create a gradient of blue. He didn't know if it was working, but he felt something was different. There was a new connection between his imagination and his movements. "How does it look?" he asked after a few minutes. "It's amazing. You put every color exactly where it should be. It's like you can see." Walter stopped painting, his heart racing. Could something really be changing? "Are you sure?" "Absolutely sure. The sky looks perfect, with the lighter part up top and darker at the bottom, just like the skies we see in real life." Walter felt an intense emotion wash over him. He didn't know if it was hope, fear, or a mix of both. "Let's keep going. Now I want to try the clouds." They spent the afternoon working on the painting, with Walter taking more control and Lily offering less guidance. The result was the most impressive one yet. When Rebecca arrived, she was stunned by what she saw. "Dad, this looks just like your paintings from when you could see." "Really?" Walter asked eagerly. "Really. The composition, the proportions, everything is perfect." Rebecca looked at Lily, who was beaming with happiness. "I told you he'd get his sight back, I told you." That night, Rebecca struggled to sleep. As a doctor, she knew that sudden recovery of vision after 15 years of total blindness was practically impossible. But as a daughter, she couldn't deny that something extraordinary was happening to her father. She decided to schedule an appointment with the ophthalmologist, who treated Walter for further tests. Maybe there was a medical explanation for the changes she was witnessing. The next day, Lily arrived later than usual. When she appeared, her eyes were red from crying. "What happened, sweetheart?" "Grandma Dorothy said Mom got worse during the night. That maybe she won't be able to..." Lily couldn't finish the sentence, bursting into tears. Walter held her tightly, feeling his own heartache for the girl's situation. "Do you want to go to the hospital to be with her?" "I do, but Grandma Dorothy said it's better if I stay here today." "That there's nothing I can do there." "Then let's do something your mom would be proud to see." "Like what?" "Let's paint the most beautiful portrait we've ever made. And when your mom gets better, you can show it to her." Lily stopped crying, focusing on the idea. "A portrait of who?" "Of you. I want to paint you, Lily." The girl was moved. No one had ever painted her portrait before. "But how will you paint me if you can't see me?" "I'll paint with my heart. You'll help by describing your features, and I'll try to translate that onto the canvas." It was an ambitious and emotionally charged project. Walter had never attempted a portrait since losing his sight. "First, tell me about your hair." "It's curly, really curly and kind of brown." "And your eyes? They're big and dark. Grandma Dorothy says they're just like Mom's." "And your smile?" "It's big. My teeth are a little crooked, but Grandma Dorothy says that makes my smile more special." Walter began sketching with charcoal, using Lily's descriptions to guide his hands. It was a slow and delicate process, but something magical was happening. "Now help me with the colors." They worked all morning on the portrait. Walter focused intensely on every brushstroke, trying to capture not just Lily's physical appearance, but her essence, her special energy. When they finished, both were emotionally drained. "How does it look?" Lily stayed silent for a long moment, staring at the canvas. "Mr. Walter," she finally said, her voice trembling, "how did you do this? Why, doesn't it look good? It's just like me. Even the details I didn't mention, like the tiny mark I have on my cheek." Walter froze. How had he painted a mark she hadn't described? Lily, are you sure? Absolutely. It's perfect. It's like you can really see me. At that moment, something strange happened. Walter felt a flash of light, just for a split second. It was so quick he thought he imagined it. Lily, are you standing in front of me now? Yeah, why? No reason, just checking, but something had changed. Walter felt a subtle shift in his perception, as if a door long closed was beginning to crack open. When Rebecca arrived and saw the portrait, she was speechless. The resemblance to Lily was striking, but more than that, there was an emotional quality to the piece that moved her deeply. Dad, this is impossible. How did you manage to capture so many details? I don't know, Rebecca, but I feel like something is changing. That night, Walter had his first dream with visual images in 15 years. He dreamed of colors, shapes, light. He woke with tears in his eyes and his heart racing. The next day, Lily didn't show up. Walter grew worried but figured she might be at the hospital with her mother. Dorothy arrived in the late afternoon, her face marked by sorrow. Mister, Walter, I need to talk to you. How is Lily? She's fine physically, but her mother passed away this morning. Walter felt as if he'd been punched in the gut. Even though he'd expected this news, he wasn't prepared for the pain that followed. How is she holding up? She's being very strong, but I know she's hurting deeply. Does she want to see me? She does, but she's embarrassed to cry in front of you. Please tell her she can cry as much as she needs. That we'll cry together. Dorothy nodded, wiping her own eyes. Mr. Walter, I want to thank you for what you've done for Lily these past months, giving her a purpose, making her feel important. It's helped so much. She's the one who helped me, Dorothy, more than I can explain. Lily appeared the next day, quiet and pale. Walter held her in a long embrace before saying a word. I'm so sorry, sweetheart. Thank you, Mr. Walter. They sat together in silence for a while, simply sharing the grief. Do you want to paint today? I don't know if I can. That's all right. We can just talk. Mr. Walter, do you think Mom can see me from somewhere? It was a difficult question, heavy with hope and despair. I think so, Lily, and I think she's very proud of you. Why? Because you've spent these months taking care of me, helping me find happiness again. That shows the beautiful heart you have. She always said I should help people when I could, and you did. You've helped me so much. Mr. Walter, now that Mom's gone, do you think I can still help you see? Walter realized Lily was linking her ability to help him with her mother's presence, as if it were a kind of magic that might break. Lily, you've already helped me see. Maybe not with my eyes, but with my heart. And that will never change. But what if your eyes really do get better? Will you still need me? I'll always need you, as a friend, as my painting partner, as part of my family. Lily smiled for the first time in days. Then can we try painting something small today? Of course. What would you like to paint? Something beautiful for Mum. They painted a small vase of flowers, working slowly and quietly. It was a simple piece, but full of emotion and meaning. In the days that followed, Lily gradually returned to her routine of visits, but there was a new seriousness in her demeanor. She had grown emotionally, forced to face a devastating loss. Walter was changing too. The strange visual sensations were becoming more frequent. Flashes of light, shadows he couldn't tell were real or imagined. One morning, a week after Lily's mother had passed, Walter woke with a different feeling. There was something in the air, a quality of light he hadn't sensed in years. He sat up in bed and turned his face toward the window. For a moment he thought he could make out the outline of the frame, a subtle difference between the wall and the opening. "Rebecca!" he called out, his heart racing. "What is it, Dad?" she replied, running from the bathroom. "Come here, stand by the bedroom door." Rebecca obeyed, puzzled. "Now move to the right." "Dad, what?" "Please, just do it." Rebecca moved. Walter followed the motion with his eyes, sensing a shadow shifting. "Now to the left." Again, he seemed to track the movement. "Dad, can you see me?" "I don't know. I think I'm seeing shadows. Or maybe it's my imagination." Rebecca stepped closer, examining her father's eyes. There was no visible change in their appearance. "Let's schedule an urgent appointment with Dr. William." "Yes, but first, call Lily. I want her here." Lily came running when Mrs. Dorothy relayed the message. She found Walter and Rebecca in the backyard, both visibly emotional. "What happened?" "Lily, I think I'm starting to make out some things. Shadows, very faint shapes." The girl fell silent for a moment, processing the information. Then a huge smile spread across her face. "I knew it. I always knew this would happen. Easy there, little one. We don't know yet if it's real or it is real." "The spring water worked," Walter smiled. Even if it wasn't the spring water, even if there was a medical explanation, he didn't want to dampen Lily's joy and faith. Maybe it really did work. Dr. William Thompson was intrigued by the test results. There was no significant structural change in Walter's eyes, but the light perception tests showed subtle improvement. It's possible there's some neural recovery. Sometimes the brain develops new connections, especially when stimulated by activities like painting. "You mean it could get better?" "It's hard to predict. It might stabilize at this level, improve gradually, or even regress. Every case is unique. But there's a real chance of improvement." "Yes, small but real." When they left the office, Lily was beaming. "See? I told you it would work." "You sure did, little one. Thank you for never giving up on me." "I'd never give up. We're partners, remember?" In the following months, Walter's vision continued to improve gradually. It wasn't a full recovery, but he began to distinguish shapes, contrasts of light and shadow, and even some vivid colors. The most remarkable thing was how it influenced his painting. His works gained a new dimension, blending the tactile technique he'd developed with the partial visual perception he was regaining. Lily remained his constant partner, now dividing her time between guiding him and learning more advanced techniques. She showed impressive artistic talent, developing her own expressive style. Rebecca watched their transformation with admiration. Her father had regained not just some of his sight, but also his self-esteem, independence, and joy for life. Lily, despite losing her mother, had found a new family and a purpose that helped her process her grief in a constructive way. The neighborhood of Hopefield began taking interest in the paintings Walter and Lily created. Mrs. Dorothy organized a small exhibition at Lily's school, and the works made a strong impression. "Mr. Jenkins," said the school principal, Mrs. Margaret, "these paintings tell a beautiful story. They show that art can be a bridge between different realities." "Art has always been my way of communicating with the world," Walter replied. "Lily taught me there are many ways to see and create." The exhibition caught the attention of Richard Blackwell, an art dealer from Chicago who'd heard their story through a local newspaper feature. "Mr. Jenkins, I own a gallery downtown. I'd like to organize a larger exhibition with your work. I'm not sure I'm ready for something so big. Your paintings are unique. They have an emotional quality that touches people deeply." Lily was excited by the proposal. "Let's do it, Mr. Walter. It could help others understand that anyone can create art, even with challenges." Walter considered the idea. The thought of publicly displaying his work made him nervous, but also thrilled. "All right, but I have one condition." "What is it?" "Lily has to be credited as co-artist. Without her, none of this would be possible." Richard Blackwell agreed immediately. He had noticed the girl's crucial role in the creative process. The preparations for the exhibition took several weeks. Walter and Lily created 15 new pieces, each representing a different phase of their journey together, from the first simple flower to complex landscapes and expressive portraits. Rebecca helped with the organization, feeling proud of how far they'd both come. Dorothy contributed by sharing the story behind each piece, explaining the emotional context of their creations. On the opening night, the gallery was packed. People of all ages came to learn about the painter who had regained his sight with the help of a 9-year-old girl. Walter could make out the shapes of visitors moving through the gallery, an exhilarating experience after so many years of total darkness. "Mr. Walter," an elderly woman said, "your paintings make me believe it's never too late to start over." And they make me believe we can always help someone, Lily added proudly. One of the most moving moments of the evening was when Dr. William arrived with fellow doctors. Walter, your case is being studied by our team. It could help other patients with similar conditions. It would be an honor to contribute. And Lily, the doctor said, turning to the girl, you've created an art therapy method that could benefit so many people. Lily blushed but was clearly touched by the recognition. The exhibition was a resounding success. Several pieces sold, and the proceeds were split between Walter, Lily, and a fund they established to buy art supplies for underprivileged schools. 3 months later, Walter woke one morning with clearer vision than he'd had in years. He could distinguish colors more accurately and see details that had once been blurred shadows. "Lily!" he called out, overcome. The girl came running, now 10 years old and showing even greater artistic talent. "What is it?" "Look at me. Look right into my eyes." Lily obeyed, curious. "Lily, I can see you. Not perfectly, but I can see your face, your curly hair, your big, beautiful eyes." Tears welled up in the girl's eyes. "Really? You can really see me?" "I can. And you're even more beautiful than I imagined." They held each other tightly, crying tears of joy. Rebecca came home from work and found them in the backyard studio, working on a new painting. For the first time, she saw her father painting with his own eyes, guiding Lily on details he could now see clearly. "How are you two?" "Better than ever," Walter replied. "And you know what I realized today?" "What?" "That Lily was right from the very beginning. I can see again. Maybe not the same as before, but I can see what truly matters." "And what truly matters, Dad?" "The people we love, the beauty we create together, the hope we share." Lily smiled, wiping her paint-stained hands on the apron Rebecca had bought her. "And we'll still paint so many beautiful things together, right, Mr. Walter?" "We will, little one. We'll paint for the rest of our lives." Dorothy came to pick up Lily and found the three of them in the backyard, admiring the new piece they had just finished. It was a self-portrait of Walter and Lily painting together, a meta-painting that perfectly captured their partnership. "How's our little artist doing?" "Better every day," Walter replied. "She has such impressive natural talent." "And how are your eyes, sir?" "Gradually improving. The doctors say it's a rare case, but real." Dorothy smiled knowingly. "Sometimes miracles happen slowly, so we can appreciate every moment of the transformation." A year later, Walter opened an inclusive art school in the Hopefield neighborhood. The project, funded by the sales of his artwork, offered free classes for visually impaired individuals and underprivileged children. Lily, now 11, was his main assistant and even taught younger kids herself. She had developed her own techniques for teaching art through touch and imagination. "Teacher Lily," said Timmy, a 6-year-old student, "how do I paint if I don't know how to draw?" "The same thing Mr. Walter taught me," she answered patiently. "First you feel it in your heart, then let your hands do the work." Rebecca watched the classes with admiration. The girl who had once arrived with spring water had blossomed into a natural educator, inspiring other children just as she had inspired her father. Dr. William visited regularly to monitor Walter's progress and document his case for the medical community. His partial vision recovery was being studied by universities across the United States. "Walter, your case is changing how we understand brain plasticity and sensory recovery. I'm happy to contribute, but what matters most is that others can benefit from it, and they are. We already have 3 patients following similar protocols, combining art therapy with sensory stimulation." Richard Blackwell, the art dealer, organized a second exhibition, this time featuring works by other students from the Inclusive Art School. The event drew national attention and led to invitations for exhibitions in New York and Los Angeles. "Lily," Walter said one afternoon as they worked on a new canvas, "you know you've completely changed my life, right? And you changed mine too. You taught me that we can turn sadness into something beautiful." "How so?" "When Mama left, I was so sad. But painting with you, I learned I could make art that makes other people happy. It's like Mama is still helping people through me." Walter stopped painting, moved by the girl's wisdom. "Lily, you're one of the most special people I've ever met. You're only 11, but you understand things many adults spend a lifetime learning." Grandma Dorothy always says age doesn't matter when your heart is big. Your grandmother is very wise, and you're becoming wise too. During school breaks, Lily devoted more time to the art school. She developed a special project to teach blind children how to paint, using techniques she and Walter had created together. Mr. Walter, I think I've found my life's purpose. What is it? I want to be an art teacher for special people. I want to help everyone discover they can create beautiful things no matter what challenges they have. That's a wonderful purpose, little one. And you have all the talent needed for it. Will you always help me? Always, Lily. We are partners for life. On the second anniversary of the Inclusive Art School, Walter gave an emotional speech to an audience of over 200 people, including local officials, fellow artists, and students' families. 3 years ago, I thought my life as an artist was over. I lived in darkness, both literally and figuratively. Then a 9-year-old girl showed up at my door with spring water and an unshakable belief that I could see again. The audience was completely silent, absorbed by the story. Lily didn't just restore part of my physical sight. She gave me back the sight of my soul, the ability to see beauty and possibilities where I once saw only limitations. Today, our school serves over 100 students, many of whom have discovered talents they never knew they had. Walter paused, searching for Lily in the audience. He could see her clearly now, sitting in the front row next to Dorothy and Rebecca. But the most important thing Lily taught me is that real miracles don't happen overnight. They grow slowly, through love, persistence, and faith. Through a child's willingness to believe in the impossible until it becomes possible. The audience erupted in applause. Lily was crying with emotion, proud of the man she had helped transform, and who, in turn, had transformed her own life. After the event, a reporter from a national TV network interviewed Walter and Lily. Lily, do you still believe it was the spring water that healed Mr. Walter's eyes? The girl, now 12 and much more articulate, smiled wisely. I think the spring water was just the beginning. What really healed Mr. Walter was art, friendship, and the desire to be happy again. The water just gave the first little push. And you, Mr. Walter, how do you explain your recovery? I think Lily is right. The physical recovery was only part of the process. The most important thing was regaining hope, purpose, and the joy of creating. That's what changed everything. The report aired nationally and brought even more recognition to the work they were doing together. Universities began studying their methods, and other cities requested help to create similar schools. 3 years later, the Walter and Lily Inclusive Art School, its official name, had become a national model. Lily, now 15, was already giving talks at inclusive education conferences. Mr. Walter, she said one Sunday afternoon as they organized materials for a new class, remember that first day when I told you you'd be able to see again? I remember it like it was yesterday. You were a determined little girl with unshakable faith. And I was right, wasn't I? You were, but not in the way we first imagined. What do you mean? I thought you were only talking about my eyes, but you were talking about so much more. About seeing the beauty in life again, the importance of friendship, the value of helping others. Lily smiled, arranging the new paintbrushes that had arrived for the school. And now that you see all that, are you happy? I'm happier than I've ever been, sweetheart. Even in the years when I could see perfectly, I was never as happy as I am now. Why? Because now I know true sight doesn't come from the eyes, but from the heart. And my heart is full of gratitude for you, for Dorothy, for Rebecca, for all our students. Rebecca arrived from the hospital and found the two in the studio, working on a large canvas to be donated for the entrance of a new inclusive school in Washington, D.C. How's the painting coming along? It's almost done, Lily replied. It's a landscape with lots of different people painting together outdoors. It represents our philosophy, Walter added. Art as a universal language that brings people together, no matter their differences. Rebecca studied the work. The technique had improved tremendously over the years. Walter could see well enough to work with precise details, and Lily had become an artist in her own right, with a unique and expressive style. Dad, I never properly thanked you. Thank me for what, sweetheart? For showing me that caring for someone doesn't mean limiting their ability to grow. When Lily came into our lives, I was so focused on protecting you that I forgot to give you space to be happy. You've always taken such good care of me, Rebecca. But Lily taught me that sometimes caring means trusting someone's ability to overcome challenges, not just shielding them from hardship. Lily stopped painting and looked at Rebecca. Dr. Rebecca, you've taught me so much too. Like what? That family isn't just about blood. Family is who chooses to stay together and help each other through good times and bad. Rebecca felt her eyes well up. Over the years, Lily had truly become like a daughter to her, and she, a mother to the girl who had lost her own so young. Dorothy appeared at the studio door, now 65 but still full of energy. How are my favorite artists doing? Great, Grandma Dorothy, Lily replied. We just finished the painting for Washington, D.C. May I see? They stepped back from the canvas so she could admire the completed work, a rich, harmonious composition full of life and movement. It's beautiful. I'm so proud of you both. Dorothy, Walter said, I never properly thanked you for sending Lily to me that day. I just followed my heart. I saw two wounded hearts that could heal each other. You were right. I'm not always right, but in this case, yes, Dorothy laughed. Sometimes we just have to trust that love finds a way to heal. At the end of that year, Walter received an award from Chicago City Hall for his social work through art. Lily stood beside him on stage as he accepted the medal. This award isn't just mine, Walter said into the microphone. It belongs to everyone who believed physical limitations don't stop the creation of beauty. Especially Lily, who taught me miracles happen when we combine faith, hard work, and love. The audience rose in applause. Lily was moved, but maintained the dignified poise she'd developed over the years. Lily, the mayor said, do you have any words for us? The young woman stepped up to the microphone. When I was little and told Mr. Walter he could see again, I didn't realize I was talking about so much more than his eyes. Now I understand we can all learn to see again when we open our hearts to help others. What do you hope for the future? The mayor asked. I want to keep proving that anyone can create art, no matter their struggles. And I want our school to become a model for the whole world. I'm sure you'll make it happen. After the ceremony, the family, Walter, Rebecca, Lily, and Dorothy, went out to dinner to celebrate. Lily, Rebecca asked, have you decided what you'll study in college? I want to major in education with a focus on art instruction. I want to understand scientifically why our methods work so well. That's an excellent choice, Walter said. You'll be able to help even more people. And I'll keep working at the school while I study. I can't abandon our students. Of course not, Dorothy smiled. Once a teacher, always a teacher. That night after the women had left, Walter stayed alone in the studio, gazing at the dozens of artworks he and Lily had created together over the years. He could see each one clearly enough to remember the emotions and stories behind every brushstroke. The first simple flower they had painted together still hung on the wall, framed with a small plaque. The beginning of it all, Walter and Lily, first day. Walter smiled, remembering the 9-year-old girl who had entered his life with spring water and unshakable conviction. Now she was 15, grown into a wise and talented young woman, yet still carrying the same generous and determined spirit. The next day, a letter arrived from the University of Chicago. Lily had been accepted into a special program that would allow her to study education while developing research on inclusive art education. Mr. Walter, I got in. I knew you would. You deserve every opportunity in the world. But I'm not leaving here. The program lets me split my time between New York and here doing research at our school. That's wonderful. I don't know what I'd do without my partner. You'll never have to, Mr. Walter. We made a promise, remember? Partners forever. 5 years later, Lily graduated magna cum laude in education. Her thesis, Art Education as a Tool for Social Inclusion and Sensory Recovery, was hailed as groundbreaking and won national awards. The school had expanded, now offering courses for adults, workshops for families, and exchange programs with international institutions. Walter, at 73, still painted and taught every day. Lily, he said one morning as they prepared materials for a new class, do you remember what you told me on that first day about me being able to see again? Of course I do. Why? Today, I finally understand what you meant. How so? You weren't just talking about my eyes. You meant seeing the beauty in life again, the value of people, the importance of using our gifts to help others. Lily, now a 20-year-old woman, accomplished and nationally recognized, smiled with the same purity as the child she had once been. And did you manage to see all that? I did, little one. And I still see new things every day. Like what? Like the transformation in our students. Like the joy in Rebecca's face when she sees us doing well. Like the pride in Dorothy's voice when she tells our story to others. What else? I see that what started as a story about regaining sight became a story about finding purpose. That what seemed impossible, a blind man painting again, was just the first step of a much greater journey. Lily took Walter's hand, just as she had when she was a child. Mr. Walter, can I confess something? Of course. That first day when I said you'd see again, I wasn't completely sure it would work. You weren't? No. But Grandma Dorothy taught me that sometimes you have to speak with certainty about the things you only hope for, so they gain the strength to happen. So you chose to bet on hope. I did. And it worked, didn't it? Better than I ever imagined possible. They sat in silence for a moment, sharing the peace they had built together over the years. Lily, can I ask you something? Always. Do you still bring spring water sometimes? Lily laughed, her smile as bright as the one that had lit up Walter's life from the very beginning. I don't need to anymore. The spring is inside me now, she said, pointing to her heart, and it will never run dry. The end. Now, tell us what you thought of this story and where you're watching from. If you have any experiences to share, leave us a heartfelt comment. Do you believe faith and persistence can truly bring extraordinary change to people's lives? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Thank you so much for being here with us. Don't forget to leave your like and, more importantly, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss other heartwarming stories like this one.